Good afternoon. Welcome to our council meeting for Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order at this time and ask if there's any declaration of interest. Seeing none, I will move along to the land acknowledgement. There we go. The town of East Gwillimbury recognizes and acknowledges the lands originally used and occupied by the First Peoples of the Williams Treaty First Nation and other Indigenous peoples, and on behalf of Council, I thank them for sharing this land. We also acknowledge the Chippewas of Georgina Island, First Nations as East Gwillimbury's closest First Nation community, and recognize the unique relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and the waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and we join them in this responsibility. Our first item is item D, and this is a deputation. Do we have a deputant with us today?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes. Mr. Jean-Baptiste is here on behalf of Tricap Properties, making a deputation about Item H.2, which is a noise bylaw exemption request.
Welcome. Good to have you with us this afternoon.
Pleased to be here. Are we all set?
We are all set.
My name's John-Baptiste. I'm here on behalf of Tricap Properties. There's a numbered company, 1395386, Ontario Inc., for a noise exemption request for weekends, evenings, and I also want to point out statutory holidays up to October 1st with respect to a proposed driveway. Can I have the next slide, please? The site's located generally in the area of Mount Albert and Second Concession, directly adjacent to the Good Shepherd Catholic Elementary School. What is currently underway, and you can still see some pictures as we go through it, is the reconstruction of the existing driveway into a new public street as part of the ultimate plan of subdivision for this area. The timing and the construction work has been done in full conjunction with the school board. The objective with respect to this work and the timing is to be as least disruptive as possible to the overall school activities. And as such, in discussion with the school board, the direction was to focus sort of construction during the summer period when the school was least active. From a noise perspective, the nearest homes are approximately 100 meters away over on Stegman Road. If we could have the next slide, please. The proposed works are in support of the plan of subdivision and part of the phase 1 works that would accommodate approximately 105 townhouse units. I want to stress to council that the final design approvals has not occurred yet. That's still ongoing with town staff, and we continue to work with the Conservation Authority, region, and town staff in terms of that approval. So at the present time, what Tricap is doing is moving ahead with construction for Street D, which they have obtained sort of a specific project approval for, regardless of the rest of the approval, again, as part of minimizing impact to students in the school in advance of the final approvals for the rest of the phase 1. Can I move to the next slide? These are just getting into some pictures now. So here's a picture of the temporary driveway that's currently in place. This was pre-built prior to the end of the school year, again, to help facilitate the quick changeover and to try and maximize the construction window timeframe as part of the overall works. That driveway is now operational if people have driven by and had a look. Next slide, please. Here's what is left, I guess, of the existing driveway. As you can see, work's are already underway to rebuild that existing driveway. There are other works and sort of some underground services, a temporary temporary stormwater basin as well to address drainage as part of this. This design has been approved through town staff, and in terms of the noise exemption, it's our understanding that the school board is in favor of this exemption request. If I could have the next slide, please. This is just a picture from Second Concession Road. On the right, you can see the temporary driveway, which is further to the right on that picture, and then to the left of that picture on the right is the existing driveway, which is now being rebuilt into the public street. Some of that, as you can see, that construction is all the way underway, which includes, as I noted, sort of servicing and so on underneath to facilitate the ultimate subdivision, which also actually facilitates some work for the school in terms of servicing connections and so on as well. If I can have what's the final slide, please? So it's just a picture showing sort of the temporary driveway on the right, what was the existing driveway now being rebuilt towards on the left. And again, this exemption request is to sort of attempt to minimize disruption to the school to the greatest extent possible, to secure appropriate access, safety for students and staff. The target date for completion is August 20th. The exemption request, which the contractor is comfortable with working with as well, is really to provide sort of more flexibility in terms of hitting that time frame. And so just to clarify, it was, as noted, it'd be 7 to 9 during the weekdays, 9 to 5 on weekends, and there's also a request for 9 to 5 on statutory holidays, so which would be, because the request is only until October 1st, so it would be essentially the August long weekend and then the Labor Day Monday as well. That is my deputation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions of the deputant? Councillor Crothers, go ahead, please.
Thank you. For council's recollection, this was approved some 20 years ago, and you'll see from the map that was put up, there's a number of laneway homes along there that have a single garage and no street parking. And so Terry and I and staff met with Tricap to talk about the issues around parking and how, we've seen those laneways developed before, and they've caused issues for residents that have more than a bicycle to put in their garage. And at that meeting, Tricap had mentioned to us that they would work with us on that, and knowing that you were coming to this meeting, I asked that you come back and let us know how things are progressing about working with us to resolve the parking issues of this development. So I'm wondering if you had anything to add on that.
I do, actually. I was actually chatting with Victoria just outside. I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately. I had a pre-planned, long-planned vacation, so unfortunately wasn't able to attend, but I did get sort of the debrief. A couple things. One, to clarify, as part of the previous approvals, the zoning for the parking requirement was not amended, so those laneway, and if it's helpful, we can go back to the image on the slide. Those laneway units are actually 2 spaces per, the 2-car garages in the rear, and it's in the zoning already in terms of that requirement, and that wasn't modified, and I understand that was a bit of a confusing at that time. I was actually talking to Victoria about preparing a bit of a parking plan that sort of shows, the parking on the lot, where on-street parking is, so you can sort of see the totality of the parking area. I'm asked to actually clarify 1 or 2 items for me as just part of preparing that. So we're certainly happy, and I know we've had some initial discussions in terms of, okay, how can this work, where can we go? Based on a quick review that we've done, it's not clear what the target is, but we're comfortable that there's more parking than, say, what would happen on a typical private townhouse development once you incorporate the street parking. One thing that's unfortunate not to see on here, but there's a window street scenario along Mount Albert, so there's no driveways, so there's lots of opportunities for some added on-street parking there, as an example. But we'll certainly work with
I believe that when that was sent to us, there's about 9 spots along there. So you're looking at all these spots, all these townhouses along Second Concession. There's quite a number of them, and a 2-car garage is fantastic, where you have one person comes and visit you. There's no on-street parking at all. So it's problematic, and I know that's not why you're here, but I was bringing it up so that council would know that this we're dealing with an old plan that was approved prior. And the other thing that came up in that meeting was about having a community meeting. Because this was approved so long ago, the public consultation predates most of the people who live in the area. So are we working on that as well?
Yeah, I was talking to Victoria about that. We're happy to, our clients can already confirm with me, they're happy to have sort of an information session. We'll have to confirm venue, schedule, notice, all that sort of thing, but certainly happy to have sort of an information session as
Wonderful.
part of this, perhaps at the school board, if that works, otherwise
Wonderful.
somewhere else in the
So
vicinity.
for the item that you're here for, my questions on that are, if we want to get this done by the school year, then the September 1st deadline or September 7th, whatever Labor Day is, would be a much better target than October 1st. And you mentioned August 20th. So I think that a early September target would help keep everyone motivated to make sure that it's done by then.
That certainly it's up to council and through the
Excellent.
chair, I apologize, up to council in terms of the time frame that council chooses. The thought process behind October 1st was really if there were any works that needed to be completed as quickly as possible, sort of after the switchover target, which is actually from our perspective August 20th. But weather, rain, things happen. We're one shot here right now for council. So that was the thought process behind, instead of making a date of, say, end of August, was to say, well, when we asked for end of September, just in case we need that little extra window.
So I understand the buffer, but if the rationale is to not be disruptive for the school year, then having an October 1st doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I would not be able to support that for my community to say, we're rushing to get this done for the first of school, but it might take until October.
Okay.
So either we're trying to get it done for the first of school, or we're taking our time with it, one or the other, right? My other question is about the July 4th date. We're already at the 25th. Is that a typo on here?
It was, the July 4th was when the switchover happened to start to get to the temporary driveway. In terms of the timing, we were hoping to get to the previous council, but we didn't get our ducks in a row and so on to get in. So the request would start from, the day council allows us to proceed if council.
So we could
grants us the
amend
request.
the dates in this resolution to be the 26th to September 7th, whatever Labor Day is. That would work for you?
Yeah, that's
Wonderful, thank you.
certainly acceptable.
Other questions? Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate Councillor Carruthers' comments with respect to working with an old plan. Obviously, market conditions have shifted, and we want you to be building as modern a community as you can that would appeal to as many people as possible. And if you're building a community that doesn't have parking for people to have visitors, and you're putting in laneways and things like that are not as appealing to the market, then you lose out on the sales side of things, and then we end up picking up the pieces as far as parking enforcement and that sort of thing. So I think it would be, I would encourage you absolutely to have a second look. I believe you have allocation, so it's not a question of that, but it's really about bringing the best product to market. And if you're working with an old plan that's out of date, then the market's going to notice that as well. Thank you.
Understood.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to staff, I'm quite happy to support the noise bylaw exemption from tomorrow to September 1st. If need be, if you haven't got the work done by then, you can always come back and ask for an extension. Probably good incentive to get it done. I'm just curious about how we handle, I'm not clear how we handle noise bylaws on, or noise exemptions on long weekends, and so holiday weekends. Do we normally shut down construction sites for long weekends? I always think of a long weekend or a holiday weekend as sacred, and I'm not partial to allowing work, but I just want to know what our practice has been. I'm not familiar with it. Anyone who wants to take that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, typically we don't distinguish if it's, unless it's a statutory holiday, in which case it's unlikely that works would be proceeding anyway. But the intent here is to, as much as possible, avoid working on weekends. As I understand it, that the ask was to lengthen the workday through the week, which then gives you effectively an extra 10 hours a week. So hopefully removing the need to work on weekends.
Councillor Leahy, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Through you, Madam Mayor. As a councillor for Ward 3, although this is not located in my particular ward, I would just like to suggest, Mr. Jean-Baptiste, that I would have appreciated some heads up and some further information prior to the committee meeting, because your ask, which is a very big ask, comes immediately on the heels of a previous contentious debate regarding the request from Averton Development. They were asking only for a Saturday for indoor work, and you were asking for every weekday into the evenings, as well as Saturdays, Sundays, and statutory holidays. So this is a really big ask, and I think it's important to remember, consistency is important. And the consistency in the decision-making of town council is extremely important because of the optics. And the optics, unfortunately, come down to, in terms of fairness, are we deciding in a consistent manner that is fair to all developers? Now, this particular situation is a school. So I am open to accommodating this request because it is a school and because there are potential safety issues once school starts up again. You want this done quickly, completed quickly, and we don't want any safety issues regarding children and school buses. So I will entertain this request. However, I would like to emphasize that consistency is important in council's decisions with regard to developers' requests for exemptions to the current bylaws. Thank you.
Councillor Foster, go ahead, please.
Just as, thank you, Madam Mayor, just as some more information, consistency was exactly kind of the topic of the meeting that Councillor Carruthers and I and staff had with Tricap. And exactly as you said, the thought of making sure that we were ready for the school opening was paramount, and I think that's probably paramount to the dates that Councillor Carruthers put out. And I'm okay with what we're doing here as long as we don't go into October.
Councillor Johns, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge, I recognize Councillor Leahy's comments and whatnot. Like, for me personally, on recognizing the other decisions, like we're looking about the proximity of residents and working and whatnot. Like when you look to the east and the north, on this specific property, the density of residents within the area, I feel like it's a different situation. Even though the importance of continuity to what you're saying, it's different in my mind. And pardon me? And I'll just leave that there. And so I'll just speak to the density comment. And I'm happy to support the amendment that my colleague, Councillor Carruthers, has brought forward. I'm happy to support that.
I'm not seeing any other comments at this time. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Carruthers?
I'm happy to move, be it resolved that the deputation made by John-Baptiste on behalf of Tricap Properties regarding H.2 noise bylaw. Oh, it's just being received.
Yes.
But I don't like those dates. And he's agreed that June 26th to September 7th would work. So sorry, July 26th to September 7th. Can we change that, Madam Clerk? Oh, sorry.
Take this one.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So what you are receiving is just a deputation at this time. Should council wish to bring item H2 up for further discussion at this time, we can, and certainly the second clause of that, Councillor Carruthers, could be amended to reflect the changes. I've already captured them, so I can bring them up.
So I will move receipt, and I will also request that council bring forward H2 so we can have that discussion right now. Thanks.
I have a seconder. Councillor Foster? All those in favor? That's carried.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm just going to bring forward item H2 with the proposed amendments that has been discussed this afternoon. Just bear with me for one moment. Councillor Carruthers, I had heard Labor Day as a date. That was September 4th, but let me know if, sorry, Councillor Carruthers.
Can we turn off that mic? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Thank you. School starts on the 8th, so there's a few PA days there, so I'm willing to give them as absolute as long as we can. I understand that they want to get things done, so, you know, I'm fine with September 1st, but I think we can go right up until the 7th. And the initial date is July 26th to September the 7th. There's PA days after that, and school, I just looked up the Catholic board calendar, and they start on the Thursday full-time. High school starts a day early. Okay.
Okay. We have a motion?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the second clause of the motion has been changed. So here, the exemption is to facilitate construction work between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. during weekdays and between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. during weekends and holidays for a period of July 26 to September 7, 2023, for the site located at Mount Albert Road and Second Concession in Hon Landing.
Thank you. Any questions on that? All those in favor? Oh, sorry, a mover and a seconder. Councillor Foster, Councillor Carruthers. Call the vote again. Thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice to meet with you, and hopefully it goes well. Thank you. We're always excited to have new schools opening in our community, and fixed up driveway, yeah. Nice, thank you. Okay. We're at item E at this time. There are no presentations. Item F, committee recommendations to adopt the Committee of the Whole Council recommendations from the meeting held on June 20th, 2023. Be it resolved that Council adopt the Committee of the Whole Council recommendations for the meeting held on June 20th, 2023. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Roy DeClemente.
Madam Mayor, I was just hoping we could pull number 114 out for a separate vote, but I'm happy to move all of them except that one. It refers to the Averton Trail alignment.
Okay.
So that would be number 16 on the agenda, so that's the last recommendation on the prepared agenda.
Okay, and do I have a seconder for this? Councillor Crone. All those in favor? That's carried.
Just bear with me for a moment, Madam Mayor. One recommendation has been requested for a recorded vote, just, sorry.
Not a recorded
For a
vote, just a
just
separate
separate vote.
For purposes of consistency.
So through you, Madam Mayor, the second recommendation that Council is considering from the previous meeting is in relation to CWC 2023-114, which is the Averton Homes. And you just need a mover and seconder for that.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor LaHaye, Councillor Carruthers, all those in favor? And that's carried. Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So following this morning's Committee of the Whole meeting, there were several recommendations that required same-day ratification. To be exact, there are 4 of them. I can put them on the screen for council's consideration at this time. So the first item is in relation to the deputation that was made by Mr. Proutfoot. There was a request to ratify the recommendation so that staff can report back regarding the initiatives that the town undertook over the past 10 years. The second item is looking into the 2022 draft audited financial statements. The third item is with respect to the blue box transition update. The fourth item is a recommendation from committee to consider an additional correspondence in relation to a street closure on today's council agenda. So for this one, Madam Mayor, if council wishes, they can adopt all recommendations all at once, so you just need a mover and a seconder.
Councillor Roy DeClemente. Councillor Johns. All those in favor? And that's carried. And we have... There we go. The minutes of our meeting held on June 20th, 2023. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Crone, Councillor. Thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. Item G2, adopt the council minutes from the special meeting held on June the 13th, 2023, and the regular meeting held on June the 20th, 23. Moved by Councillor Carruthers, seconded by Councillor Johns. All those in favor? And that's carried. We're down to item H. H1, correspondence from Seed Roper dated June 28th regarding noise bylaw exemption request to facilitate a wedding for September 2nd, 2023 until 2 a.m. Comments, questions? Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Roy DeClemente and Councillor Johns. All those in favor? That's carried. Comments? Go ahead.
Comment.
Yep.
I'm wondering if, for consistency's sake, if we can delegate these to staff, because the other one we cut back to 11 p.m. I just want us to be consistent and make sure that these are getting the attention quickly, and we don't always meet and every month, right? So our residents don't know about our timelines. I guess they're planning a party and it's somewhere on their to-do list. And I just think that if we can delegate these to staff in the future, it will be consistent and it will mean our residents are getting an answer quickly. So maybe our CAO can speak to that. And do we need a motion to do so?
Madam Mayor, through you, certainly that decision-making could be delegated to staff. It would be appropriate to do so through a resolution. And I would suggest, if we're going to do that, that staff would perhaps just bring back a memo just to clarify criteria for decision-making so that it's pretty clear, it's very clear to council what criteria are being used to make that decision-making, and that staff would simply be applying that to the best of their ability on a consistent basis moving forward.
Thank you very much. So I would like to move that we request staff bring back a report about delegating noise bylaw requests to staff.
And are you referencing the AM times as well?
I think that the report can come back from staff and we can have a talk about that. I mean, if we wanted more verbiage, we can say that we want it for consistency and expediency and that, but I think just a short resolution is fine as well.
Thank you. You've moved that?
Yes, I have.
Councillor Roy DeClemente seconds. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Madam Mayor, following this morning's committee, there was an additional correspondence for council's consideration. This is in relation to a temporary road closure of Dutch Settlers Court in Hall Landing on August 26th from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the purpose of holding a street party. To accommodate this request, obviously council would have to entertain the approval and authorization to execute a bylaw to temporarily close the road for the hours that I noted and refer the additional correspondence and outstanding matters to staff to continue to work with the organizer so that they can obtain all of their applicable permits and any outstanding fees, for instance, any insurance and liability that they have to secure. So that would be the third request for today.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and seconder to start with? Councillor Crothers, Councillor Johns? And you're fine with the conditions in front of us? Thank you. All those in favor? And that's carried. We're at I1, and this is Legal and Property Services Memo bylaw to dedicate certain lands as public highway, provide legal access, Yorkwood Homes in Sharon Limited. And this is part of the item K2, just a little bit down from where we are now. Questions, comments? Movers, seconders?
Thanks. Madam Mayor, this is just like housekeeping on a street. This is what we would typically go through where we're taking this small portion back. Is that what's happening? Or just so I can understand, I don't know.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this is a housekeeping matter where a development has occurred, and now they're going to name part of that access as a public highway so they can get in and out of their development. So it's a housekeeping thing. They've named the street as well, but it's something that is routinely done once the development, maybe.
Go ahead.
Thanks. It's just that the Appendix 1, I don't understand, like that red line, that's not actually what's in reference to what we're voting on, is it? Because the street already exists. What does that red line represent in Appendix 1?
If
I'm
someone-
confused, sorry.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. If someone can pull it up.
Just bear with us for a moment. Our deputy is going to pull it up onto the screen now.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thank you. Yes, as I understand it, the red line denotes the street that they're naming.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, please. You can't.
Now I can. Councillor Johns, you didn't play the rookie card,
Yeah, I should have.
but
I'm going to play that for the rest of the year, until November.
it's getting a little ear torn and worn up. As I understand it, when streets are being developed, there's a 3-meter wide reserve that's placed on hold until the lot lines are delineated. So this section of Deepwood Court is currently under construction, and so it's reserved for the town's use until we dedicate that piece, which is basically the road allowance, and then we can have access to the driveways as the houses are built. So this is a routine matter.
And it's just an extension of Deepwood Crescent.
It's basically a widening of Deepwood Crescent.
Got it.
It's already there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Roy D. Clemente, Councillor Foster, all those in favor? And that's carried. There are no resolutions. We have bylaws.
Madam Mayor, just, there is a fourth bylaw that would be for, in addition to the 3 bylaws that are placed on today's agenda, that would be for the temporary closure of the Dutch Settler Court to accommodate the street party on August 26th.
Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Johns, Councillor. All those in favor? And that's carried. Do we have any other business at this time? Seeing none, I'm moving to the confirming bylaw. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Crone? Councillor Johns? All those in favor? That's carried. And an adjournment at 5:35, moved by Councillor Crothers and seconded by Councillor Roy DiClemente. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. We accomplished a great deal today. Thank